to talk about your journey, about your I want to say transformation. We're still working, of course. Well, if you listen to this and you don't know, my name is Suroesh, and this is Liam Bradshaw. For the people who know him, of course, he doesn't need to introduce himself. We met in Bali at a beautiful night in a gym, and yeah, that week we started working together, and now we are more than 3 months in the game. And I asked him like if he was open to share his story. I think actually, were you the one who said like, let's do a testimonial? Was it me?
No, it was me actually. I'm
Yeah,
not
you're
sure if
great.
Sarush has done many testimonials. I think he has a
I
few in
appreciate.
Dutch, and
Yeah,
obviously
yes.
that's limiting. If I came across a Dutch testimonial as a English speaker, at least my primary language, I wouldn't have watched the testimonial. So yeah, I mean, I genuinely have had an amazing experience with Sarush. So he didn't even put it on me. I actually suggested it to him that we should sit down and we should just reflect, speak about the past couple of months, and yeah, I'm obviously more than happy to share my experience as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, very proactive. So, Liam, do you want to share more about like where you were 3 months ago? Why did you even start working with me one on one?
For sure. So, of course, as Sarush mentioned, we bumped into each other in Bali. Instantly felt a very positive vibe from Sarush, and we had some great conversations off the bat. So that was a very good sign to me that energies were aligned, and obviously I felt good from speaking to Sarush. So that was a great sign that he was kind of pulling me up mentally just off of his energy, if that makes sense. But regardless, we linked up a few more times after that. I got more of a feel for what Sarush does. And me being an entrepreneur for about 4 or 5 years now, of course, I have an obsession with constantly becoming better, constantly improving myself, as I'm aware that I am the common denominator in every single aspect of my life, my relationships, my health, my business, which all tie into each other like a flywheel effect to make each aspect better anyway. So I knew the importance of leveling up myself. Um, so I was curious. Something I've always done is followed my natural curiosity, and that's taken me very far just by doing that alone. So I wanted to explore further what Sarush could do for me because while I didn't necessarily think I had any issues, there were certain mindset patterns which I knew that if I was to optimize them, would have lasting and compounding impacts on my life, not only on my business. So yeah, there were a few things which were bothering me, and I came to Sarush with them. He was very welcoming. We spoke through them, and he actually helped me to understand them even more, understand where these thought processes might even be stemming from, and then we started going deep in actually rewiring them. And yeah, just going very high level overview now. A couple months later, I've noticed a massive difference. The people around me have noticed a massive difference in myself, in my confidence, in the way that I show up as an individual, in the way that I lead my team. And I've really just been able to step into a new and improved character, which I was definitely feeling some resistance towards before. So not only have I noticed that, my business revenue has also continued to scale, which is obviously a byproduct of the character which we've been able to produce over the past 3, 4 months.
Beautiful. I was listening, and I hear this for the first time in this like very clear sequence. So yeah, it has been a pleasure, and we're still working together. But it has been a pleasure to make to to be on the sideline of this journey. And before I say thank you for all the great words, which I'm grateful for, is like what is one thing that you notice now that it's actually important to you that was hard for you in the past or that was challenging for you in the past?
For sure. I would say it's honestly the quality and the characteristic of being able to adopt specific traits and implement specific pieces of advice or ways of doing things. Like throughout my whole life, like I mentioned earlier, I've always been obsessed with learning how I can be better and obviously doing what I can to be better. But a lot of my time and energy was stuck in learning how to be better. and hearing advice and thinking about new ways to do things and resonating with those things, but not necessarily implementing it. And that is one of the biggest game changers, which I've firstly started doing, but also realized that the effect of knowing something and resonating with it, and knowing something and resonating with it and actually implementing it is very simple. It's very clear as to why it would be the needle mover, but that is really what will move the needle in your life and your business is when you actually implement these things. So for me, like I've seen a lot of progression in my business over the past year. And with progression, obviously comes change because you have to iterate, you have to level up, you need to get people underneath you, you need to, yeah, just basically change how you're operating because if you just keep doing the same thing, you're not going to grow. So I really had to build a big team below me and get to the point where I can come into that position with authority and confidence so that my whole team feels confident as well to work underneath me. And that is something which I felt resistance to step into in the beginning because it's something that I hadn't really done before. I was a solo entrepreneur for a very long time. Solopreneur, just doing everything myself, doing all the operations myself, all the day-to-day myself. And obviously I knew if I wanted to get to the next level, I had to delegate a lot of those things. But that came with me needing to step into that authoritative figure. So yeah, I feel like I'm going in circles, but I had resistance to that in the beginning. But now knowing the character traits that I had to implement, after working with Suroesh, I found it much more easier to actually implement those character traits. Does that
Hmm.
make sense?
Yeah. So if it's if I hear it well, understand it well, it's like the leader you wanted to be, you actually embody it fully right now.
Yeah. The leader I wanted to be and knew that I needed to be. There's a very big difference between just knowing what I need to do and actually doing
Hmm.
it. Through
Yeah.
working with you, I've noticed my ability to actually do things has become a lot better.
Yeah, I remember that you were already productive. I mean, you built $1 million business at 21 years old. So most people don't even start at 21 years. So let's say so you accomplished a lot on a young age, but you're going for like you're very hungry, very ambitious, and I like it about you. And still, you're a human being, so it's very powerful. Like that, you can be social at the same time. Yeah, killer in business. We call you a killer in business, and is that I knew you wanted to be even more productive. You're like you want to be like super like focused, like hyper focused. And I saw like how productive you went from very productive to ultra productive. Now you told me one day like you don't let anything pass by. You just do it. And that's I believe also a great thing that you feel how because how do you feel at the end of the day like most days right now?
Tired, but I like the feeling that I feel tired, because I know that I've done what I needed to do. And of course, there's always days where I don't complete everything. At the end of the day, we're all human, but the average amount of days where I do complete everything that I needed to complete and complete more is just way higher in general. So a lot of it obviously stems in the mind, and just connecting the dots between how where you are and where you want to go, like making that connection and like how that character change can happen. And then just repetition. I feel like working with Sarush is just like help me with that initial first step, just, pushing me over the edge, to go from where I was to just getting onto the trajectory of where I need to be.
Mm, just and how did you experience hypnosis? People ask me like how does that work? How would you describe it in your words? Because you're very good in
Yeah.
explaining things clearly. How would you describe this for someone who's looking as a business owner? He's like thinking about it, but he wants a good explanation.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I've had a lot of people ask me about it because I've obviously spoken about you and the fact that I'm working with you. And I think um, off the bat, a lot of people think it's very, woo woo or like just a bunch of bullshit or like
Mhm.
they're scared of it, things along the line of and like it's not really like that whatsoever. Like on a fundamental basis, the way I understand it is that you have certain thought processes, you have certain ways of thinking, which maybe you're not even aware of, which is kind of dictating the entire direction of your life because it's the things and the small little habits and decisions that you make when you're not really thinking that have like the biggest impact. Because to be honest, for the majority of the day, most people aren't even that present. So they're kind of operating on autopilot anyway. So if you can just dial in that autopilot, which is obviously your subconscious, it's going to show up in compounding effects throughout your life. I expected it to be a thing where we would go in, let's say my goal was to be confident. We would go in, I'd have a hypnosis session, and instantly I'll just feel confident, like almost I've been tricked, you know. But in reality, the way I experienced it is that it's not that you're being tricked. It's just you're making a small change. You're making a small little tech upgrade in your brain, software update, and it learns, it like compounds on itself. It's like an AI, how you make one change and it learns on itself. So like the way I kind of experienced it was we make the one change and then it's like a domino effect, you know, and I only noticed a lot of the effects 2, 3, 4 months later down the line when that small change kind of compounded into a lot of decisions, a lot of maybe conversations which I wouldn't have had before, which led to new business opportunities, or maybe even led to me impacting someone through that conversation because I was showing up as a better individual. And that's where I really saw the effects.
Wow. Honestly, like we can change seats if you want to. That was a beautiful, that was beautiful, but that what was great that you said it is like the we upgrade, and it's not like you wake up and everything is different. What some people like exactly if you've been tricked, um, as if. But you we change something in the mind. It's actually real change, and then it compounds because you did the actions that are necessary, and then it becomes stronger. The pathway becomes stronger, and then it becomes normal, and then it helps you instead of working against you. And then we make all the associations, you know. So after a while, you just feel you're renewed, like how you do some certain conversations that were harder in the past. Boom, you go in. It's crazy because it's subconscious. You don't even notice it sometimes.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yes, yes. But then we reflect on it, and then we see the change. And I've seen the
Yeah.
change. I've noticed like how you approach things.
100%. And it's like that in whether you're doing hypnosis or not. You know, I feel like a lot of people will go 1, 2, 3 years, they'll go through a bunch of shit. They'll have failed businesses, they'll have massive success. And looking back, it all just becomes a blur because I haven't really taken time to actually extract the lessons out of these new experiences. So I guess for everyone watching, I just encourage them like actually take time, whether it's once a week, once a month, at the end of the day, to sit down and reflect because you might be missing out on potential learning curves and experiences which can act as massive catalyst for change in your life if you don't actually take the time to sit and process them.
Yes, take this because it's true. It's actually true. The autopilot, that's really true. Most people live on autopilot, trying to change it with willpower, which not gonna work because willpower is this and autopilot is this. So yeah, change,
Yeah.
pause, change,
And
renew.
yeah, yeah, my mind's just going crazy with a lot of like thought processes here, but I feel like also your brain will always kind of revert to the easiest path, like the path of least resistance, right? So you want to obviously optimize that to so that the path of least resistance is literally when your brain doesn't even have to think, which is essentially autopilot or subconscious. But you obviously want to trust your subconscious to be operating in congruency or in alignment with your goals and where you want to go and the type of person you want to embody. So like it's really just about rewiring that subconscious so that when your brain automatically goes to the path of least resistance in terms of acting, you're not even thinking and you're still doing the right thing.
Yes. Yes, good example. Yeah, a good example, a simple example. When you born rich, your parents are rich, your mind is wealthy already. So when somebody is coming with like something cheap or says something is expensive, his mind or her mind will automatically say no. Like it's wired like that, and that's how literally we want to rewire it to a
Yeah.
place where you want to be. That's what we
Yeah.
did. But good example. Is there
I like that.
something? Yeah,
Like
yeah, but
if you grow up poor, like you're gonna have a naturally have a scarce mindset in your subconscious. So it's like even if you start getting money, you might still think, this is expensive, even though you can afford it. But if you've always grown up around money, You just see money as abundance. So you'll never have that thought process of, can I afford it? Can I not? Even if you don't even have that much money, it will more be like, okay, how can I afford it? It's not expensive, but where am I going to get the money? Money's abundant, you know?
Exactly. Yes. And Liam, uh, before I ask the last question, I have another question is what what would you like to share, something that you want people to know about, like what you have experienced while working together, or maybe questions they would have, what you think about right now? Just an open question. I don't have a specific question anymore. You said, for me, you said a lot, like how you experienced it. Is there something you would like add to that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't want to go in circles. I want to respect the people's time as well. It really is simple. Like I said, you are the common denominator to everything in your life. And I'd really like to encourage people to take responsibility for everything in their life because, yeah, at the end of the day, no one's really coming to save you, you know? So your mind is where everything stems from. Your decisions, your relationships, your conversations, the energy you put out into the world. Essentially, the will to power that you have on everything, you know, like it's your force. So if you can optimize your force, you optimize your entire life. So yeah, whether you work with Suroesh or not, I would obviously strongly recommend it. Just take some time to work on yourself and stop searching outside of you.
Good. This is how I know you. Clear and direct. That's how you progress in life. And then my last question to you, thanks for sharing, is like, where is Liam going? What is your future vision? What do you want to share about that?
For
Share it with
sure.
us.
So, I mean, one thing that I've recently realized is that trying to align with a past version of yourself's goals is going to leave you extremely unmotivated because it doesn't feel like it's meant for you, you know? At the end of the day, you evolve, you change, and I feel like a lot of people are stubborn or they believe that it's the right thing to, you know, decide on one thing and strive for it your whole life. Where I feel like a very mature and a very respectable characteristic is being able to logically say, okay, that was my goal, but I've gained this perspective, I've gained these experiences, and I've realized, you know, that isn't necessarily as important to me anymore. Um, and I also believe that it's very important to think extremely big. So for those of you guys who don't know, I do e-commerce. I run a portfolio of e-com brands, and I've decided to set my vision extremely big because it is something that will motivate me to wake up and work every single day because it's just so almost unfathomably big that it's almost not even about the goal anymore. It's more just about the direction and having the North Star and having that sense of purpose because I'm working towards something so big. So my goal at the moment is to have a portfolio of ecom brands. There will be about 10, and 10 of them will be doing. So I'll have a portfolio of 10 ecom brands, and each ecom brand will be in the top 10 ecom brand in terms of revenue. So I'll have the top 10 e-commerce brands doing the most revenue in the e-commerce space in my portfolio.
Okay, guys, I would say follow him. He has a YouTube channel. Follow him. Like, yeah, it's not about if it's gonna happen, more when, because you're very, like how I experienced you, is very, very, you're determined, very, and yeah, just 20 years old, 21, but not like this is your fit, like your earthly age is what I call it. Your spiritual age, you're further, like way more mature already for your age. But like if you look in early age, you have beautiful years ahead of you to do it. So you're ahead of the game, ahead of most of the people I know that are like older doing the same as you're doing. So a great future is ahead of you. And yeah, thank you for sharing these experiences and words. And of course, like in 3 months, we're gonna do the part two because then we're 6 months in. But for now, thank you for sharing and thanks for listening. Have a great day and listen to the last words he spoke. And if you don't remember it anymore, then scroll back and listen it again. Thanks.
Cool.
Ciao.
Appreciate you, bro. Bye bye.
Bye bye.